Hey, what's up? It's your boy, 24/7 here with 24/7 Fusion Media. Today's been pretty different. I got up this morning and every morning I'm starting to see something a little different, a little, I can't even find the words for it. But for an example, I get up today and I see this. It says, Scoop, DC Comics buyout, in the works from fans with lots of money. And when I heard this, I didn't know how to feel about it, because I know a lot of things have been happening over at DC for the last year that is definitely tanking the company. So let's get into this right here. It says DC Comics have had one hell of a rough year. They fired the publisher, 2 editors-in-chief, and many staffers who had been at the company for decades, with more expected. All as a result of the AT&T buyout of Warner Brothers, the pandemic, and cuts across the board. But Bleeding Cool understands that it was former DC President Diane Nelson's decision to move DC Comics from relatively expensive offices in Manhattan to insanely expensive offices in Burbank that was the biggest factor in the decision. The move from coast to coast succeeded in making DC work better as parts of Warner Brothers as a whole, with many projects spinning out of what that increased proximity. But it was also brought greater financial pressure on every project, including the publication of comic books. And that proximity was entirely absent this year, with Warner's continuing to work remotely. But that work still has to justify the cost of that empty building. Wow. So basically they're still paying for that shit? The move of the company cost them so much money that it's came to this? That's pretty fucked up. I guess they should have just stayed where they were at. Bleeding Cool has heard repeated reports that DC is planning to reduce serialized print publication, increase digital publication, and license comic book publication to other publishers. We have heard that Marvel, IDW, and Dynamite have all approached DC, but the prices cited were too high. But that it was a price that Penguin Random House was willing to pay. But this is still all rumor and hearsay from prominent people, sure, but still. Because I have also heard that it's all guns blazing at DC Comics right now. From Future State to Infinite Frontier, sales per title are up, way up. The line is smaller, with fewer editorial staff it has to be, but per title, per allocated desk space in that empty Burbank building, profitability is up. There is some suspicion that everything is resting on the Infinite Frontier performance as to whether or not DC Comics continues to have a serialized print comic publishing line. Wow. So everything's running on the shoulders of fucking Infinite Frontier? Why? Fuck. If they should have had this shit riding on something, it should have been on that Dark Knight death metal shit. Not this. But as it stands, things are very good, better than they have been at DC for some time. With their new diversity pushes, they have also seen positive mainstream press they have sought for years as well. What press? What positive press have oh my God, what the fuck, man? Let me see. However, very good for comics may not be very good for Warner's, who have put the space and expenses allocated to comics up against that allocated for TV, games, movies, and more. In terms of profitability, the comics are making money, but are they making enough money to justify the space and resources allocated to them, even if they're not using them? We'll see. Infinite Frontier number 0 is on March, with Infinite Frontier number 1 to follow in July. But then we should get a better lay of the land, but there are other plans as well. And finally, I get to what on earth I was talking about in the headline. You've been patient enough. It says last year, a number of high-rolling individuals were given tours of DC Comics Burbank with AT&T Warner's officials. And as a result, there may be some new options, because Bleeding Cool has been made aware of plans by big-time DC comic fans with access to a lot of money, many millions from across many businesses. Okay, All right. A collaboration of some of the biggest cheeses who, with a combination of personal wealth and raised capital, are making an approach to AT&T, not to buy DC Comics outright from AT&T Warners, not to touch the movies, the TVs, the games, or the merchandise, but slowly the rights and ownership of the comic book side of the publisher to be able to create and publish the DC Comics line as they would like. Let Warners do the movies, TV shows, but take all the cumbersome work of actually publishing comic books off their hands while Warners are free to adapt if they wish. It says if you could be a member of this group, you have probably already been approached. People who can bring or can raise a minimum of 8 figures apiece, who have both an Action Comics #1 and Detective Comics #27 to spare, and who really, really, really like DC Comics. The fans are taking over Arkham Asylum. To be perfectly honest, if true DC fans could buy out the company and restore it to its former glory, I would be all for it. Right now, AT&T and Warner Brothers don't know what the fuck they're doing with the comic book side of DC Comics. So if there's some fans that have the money to buy the comic book company, just the comic book side of it itself, and hire back some of the people to help make this thing run right, I would say do it. I would support it. I'd be more than happy to see DC go into the hands of people that actually love the comic books. And we're not talking the movies, video games, TV shows, and none of that bullshit. We're talking strictly the comic books. If we can get the comic book side of things back to its original state, then fuck it, man. Warner Brothers, AT&T, Warner Media, Warner Pictures, whatever the fuck y'all want to call yourselves, please sell that shit off. Please sell DC Comics to people that really, truly respect the comic book company. Let that shit go. Sell that shit and be done with it. And let it be ran by better people. That's how I feel about it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section below. Do you like where DC is at right now? Do you like the fact that everything's riding on fucking Infinite Frontier? Please. I can't believe they're doing that stupid shit. Or do you prefer that Warner Brothers and AT&T just fuck around and just sell the DC Comics to this company, or to this group of people that are true fans and just want great comic books? Like I said, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Please share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's your boy, 24/7 with 24/7 Fusion Media, and I'm out. Peace.